to K-Sports Sunday for February 27th, 2011. I'm Dylan along with my co-hosts Patrick and Jason. What a show we have for you today. We've got plenty of basketball to talk about, plus a very special live in-studio guest. Former Red Sox GM Dan Duquette is here to talk some baseball and about his upcoming camp, the Dan Duquette Academy. But before that, we got to talk about the Celtics trade that occurred a few days ago. So, guys, the first question here is: do you think that this trade is good for the C's future, present, both, or the trade was just a bad move by all?
Well, I think I got to go sort of half and half. I think I like the Oklahoma City trade because it was good. Let's face it, the Celtics are an old team, so they can start rebuilding piece by piece instead of just doing it all at once. But I didn't need to get rid of Semi, Herringody, or Marquise Daniels. Marquise Daniels, I know he's injured. He's probably going to be out for the season, but he's going to come. He could have came back refreshed for next season.
All right, what about you, Patrick?
I think this is actually a really good trade, getting Jeff Green, but then we made some bad decisions. Marquise Daniels, I think I liked him, very explosive player, and we didn't need to trade away Erden.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the trade to the Cavs was kind of ridiculous. I mean, you don't trade 2 roster spots for a 2013 second-round draft pick. That seems pretty ridiculous. But, I like giving Perkins and Robinson to the Thunder for Erden and Neen Kristić, the Serbian snake. I love that guy. And Shaq, Shaq and Jermaine O'Neal are going to come back soon, maybe this Wednesday. And so, I think that everyone might be a little overreacting to the Perk thing. So, because, both O'Neals were out, but I think since they're coming back soon, it'll be all right. Speaking of Perk, do you think that Perk was as good as everyone says he was?
I think he was a really good center and a power forward, but I don't think he was up to all the hype. He's not obviously Shaq in his heyday, but he's just a pretty good person as a center, middle of the pack.
Did you say?
Well, he was definitely good on the defensive end, but, he had a knee injury knocking him out for half of the season, and now it looks like he may have tweaked his knee again. So I think it was good to get rid of him now before injuries really start to even end his career, possibly.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the stats, the Celtics won 75% of their games without Perk at the beginning of the season. It won 66% with Perk. So they won more games without Perk than with Perk. I mean, I do agree that Perk was great on the defensive side. He could cover guys like Howard and other guys like that. But, he was kind of unreliable because he kept getting injured. And, he wasn't really good on the offensive end, like you said, Jason. So I really don't think that he's worth all the hype that everyone got up to him about. All right. Speaking of the Cavs trade, do you guys think that was a stupid trade, good trade, or in the middle?
Insanely stupid trade. For a 2013 second-round draft pick, for those two guys, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think it was actually in the middle because I think they should have only traded away one of their roster spots so that way they could rebuild in 2013. That'll help them in the long run, but I think trading away 2 guys was too many.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you shouldn't give up 2 roster spots for a 2013 second-round draft pick, like I said before. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Like you said, Jason, maybe give up just Erden or just Herringody, but no need to give up 2 roster spots. All right, let's get away from just the Celtics trade and move on to the other trade to the NBA. We all know the big one, the Knicks one. And do you think that now the Knicks have Melo and Billups are a championship team or just a playoff team?
I think they're just. I think they could turn out to be a championship team. I think it's going to depend on what happens with the Celtics, since they traded away 5 players, and also how the Heat turn out for the rest of the season. And to be honest with you, I think this really helped Denver because, Melo, he wanted to go to the Knicks. There was talk about him going to New Jersey. So now they can just sort of relax and play ball, I think.
All right, if the Knicks were in the West, I don't even think they'd be able to make the playoffs. Such a competitive conference out there.
Yeah.
But since they're in the East, I think they are a playoff team. And I think they might make it past one round, but not a championship team.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's just, I definitely think they're definitely a playoff team with Melo and Billups and Stoudemire. You know, that's a big three right there. But, you know, that's like the only team they have. It's like their team right now because they traded away all those good players like Gallinari and Felton, traded all those guys to the Nuggets. So, you know, I feel like their roster is really depleted now. All right, next question. The other kind of big trade, the Nets getting Deron Williams for Derek Favors, and I believe another player. Sorry, I forget his name. Do you think now that the Nets have Williams, do you think now they might be in playoff contention or no?
No. Williams is a good player, but you can't do that on just one player alone.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm with Patrick. They didn't do well at all during the first half of the season. They've just had some really bad seasons. But last year, starting out 0-18, they're just not a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron James is the kind of guy who could have carried the Cavs by himself. But you know, Williams is not as good as LeBron, obviously. I mean, he's a great player. I love him. I think he's one of the best point guards in the league. But I just feel like just him isn't enough to carry the Nets. All right, another question. Do you think that the Knicks getting Melo and Billups now have no one else besides their big three?
Like you said, the roster's depleted.
Yeah.
Like really just a top-heavy team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it could be possible that another player just sort of gets into a big run in the rest of the season and they really help out the Knicks, but we'll see.
Yeah, like I said before, totally depleted now. Playoff team, not championship team. All right, our next subject here, NCAA basketball. Number 1 Duke loses. If I had a buck for every time the number 1 team has lost this season, I'd be a rich kid. I mean, do you guys think that all these number 1 losses are just a coincidence, or do you think all of the number 1 so far have been just fakers?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of all the pressure that comes with being the number 1 team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Patrick. I mean, the NCAA tournament, they're adding 4 more teams. So the 16 and 17 ranked teams will play each other. The winners will go into the NCAA tournament. The March Madness is wide open. It's been wide open since the beginning of the season. You got teams like San Diego State and BYU who have been really good, and then you've got those teams who were in a slump, but then have done really well. Like you got St. John's and also Kansas State did really well. They just beat Kansas, so it's wide open.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I think it's sort of been a coincidence that the number 1 team has fell like a lot this season, but I really think all of the number 1 teams this year did not deserve to be number 1, especially Duke. It's hard to jump to number 5 to number 1. I don't really think they deserved it. Yeah, I think it's mostly fakers. All right, who do you think will be the new number 1 in the next week polls?
It's been so crazy this year, twisting and turning. I can't really predict who will be new number 1.
Yeah, I agree with Patrick. As I said before, a lot of teams that have really come out toward the second half of the season.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually going to be BYU. They beat San Diego State when they were on the road. They already beat San Diego State once before the season. And, you know, I think they'll make me the new number 1. All right, we're going to throw it to a commercial break right here. But next, I'm pretty sure, unless something goes wrong, we're going to talk to Dan Duquette. We're going to talk to Dan Duquette live in studio. You don't want to miss that.